So after our stint at Neatman Creek in North Carolina, we headed up to Michigan to the Toboggan course, the famous course where the DGLO tournament takes place actually, which was this weekend in fact. And we set up shop on the dais that was hole 15's tee pad and beginning of its fairway. If you remember, hole 15, if you're familiar with that course, is a huge 900 something foot par 4, where you throw down a relatively steep hill, because it's a toboggan hill, so maybe it's 30 feet from top to bottom, but spread out about 450 feet away. You go around a left turn and then you go way up the fairway another 500 feet or something. But we were practicing and throwing off that little dais, off that tee pad right there. And I worked with a bunch of different students. One of the students was a local guy named Mitch. And when I had Mitch throw some drives for me by the parking lot up there, I estimate that he threw in the mid to high 50 mile per hour range. And relatively tepid energy, no brace, disc turning over, and so on. And I brought Mitch down and I reforged him completely in about 2 hours. By the end of that, Mitch was bracing beautifully. He was striding with power and force and intention, way up in the air and smashing his heel down on the end of the tee pad and launching the disc. I would imagine, we didn't actually radar in, but based on the distances and the trajectories, he was throwing in the mid 60 mile per hour range. And he had multiple shots that flew 600 feet either left or right. The ones that went dead straight just disappeared into the forest. Either way, totally transformed. One of the coolest things about the Michigan shoot actually was that one of the production assistants on set, a kid named Sam, who's 18 years old, Sam and his brother, Joe, literally caught the method contagiously just by hanging out on the set for 2.5 days while we were filming. And they paid attention and I saw them sort of practicing the drive form. By the third day, Sam had insane biomechanics just from watching me demonstrate and listening to me talk through the steps and how to arrive at the proper balance positions and how to sequence. He literally caught the method. It's contagious. The final really, really amazing part of the Michigan shoot was that I was joined by one of the method co-founders, Sebastian, who is now working about 2 hours from the toboggan course as a police officer, which is an incredible profession. And Sebastian took a week off from doing anything athletic before he came out to do the shoot at my request. I said, carbo load, don't do any lifting, just get all filled up with glycogen so you can really do impressive stuff on camera. He did not disappoint. Sebastian is capable of throwing 84 miles per hour on radar. 84 miles per hour puts him in the same range as the absolute elite galactic throwers in the entire sport, including David Wiggins, Anthony Barella, probably Christian Quoksa as well. And it's possible there's a few other people who can kind of toy around in the low to mid 80s that I don't know about. Eagle McMahon has hit those speeds, but generally only with a roller. 84 miles an hour is bananas. And Sebastian could throw those 84 mile per hour shots, or at least low 80s, running across the dirt through grass onto a slick rain-soaked tee pad. He could still land, hit the ground at full power, and hit the disc at exactly the right spot. He threw 750 feet on camera repeatedly. Crazy ass, roaring, turning anhysers that went over the fairways of both 14 and 15 and went all the way down to hole 4's basket and landed right next to it, pin high, from the dais of hole 15. If you stand up there and look to the right, down the hill at that distant basket that's almost imperceptible, you get a sense of the magnitude of how much force he produces. And the air just hisses and roars. Just seeing Sebastian's mechanics up close was one of the highlights of that trip. Once that was done, we went back to Seattle very briefly, and then we headed down to Huntington Beach. How cool is that? And I'll talk about our Huntington Beach trip in the next video. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned.